The story comes from a former hotel night clerk named Melissa. She worked the front desk at a small, rundown roadside hotel. You know the type, the ones with flickering lights in the hallways and carpet that always smells a little damp, no matter how much they clean it. It was the kind of place people stayed at for a night and then forgot. Melissa's shift was the graveyard shift from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., and most nights were so quiet, she could hear the ice machine humming from 2 floors down. It was a boring, solitary job, but it paid the bills. One night, or rather, one early morning, around 2:15 a.m., the front desk phone rang. The sound sliced through the silence of the lobby, making Melissa jump. She took a breath, composed herself, and answered with her standard practice greeting. "Front desk, how can I help you?" On the other end of the line was a male voice, shaky and thin, like he was trying to whisper, but couldn't keep his voice steady. "I'm in room 412, the man said, his voice cracking. "Someone keeps knocking on my door." Melissa pulled up the hotel's computer system. Room 412 was indeed occupied. A single guest, a man, had checked in just a few hours earlier that evening. His name was unremarkable, his payment method was standard, everything seemed normal. She tried to sound reassuring. "Okay, sir, I understand. I'll send security to check the hallway right away. Please stay in your room." The truth was, there was no security guard on duty. At this hour, it was just her. The entire hotel was her responsibility. Grabbing the master key ring, which felt heavy and cold in her hand, she left the relative safety of the front desk. The elevator creaked its way up to the 4th floor. When the doors opened, the hallway was deserted. The lights buzzed and flickered, casting long, dancing shadows. There were no sounds, no movement, just that stale, damp air. She walked down to room 412, her own footsteps sounding unnervingly loud on the worn carpet. She hesitated for a moment, then knocked firmly on the door. "Hello, this is the front desk." The door creaked open just a crack, and a single eye peered out. Then the door opened a little wider, just enough for her to see the man's face. He was pale, his skin slick with sweat, and his eyes were wide with terror. "I told you," he whispered, his voice frantic. "It keeps happening." As soon as you started walking down the hall, it stopped. Melissa offered a weak, professional smile, trying to calm him down. She told him the hallway was empty, that maybe it was the pipes or sound from another room. She reassured him that everything was fine and told him to call again if it happened. He nodded, not looking convinced at all, and shut the door, the lock clicking loudly in the silent hall. Melissa walked back to the elevator, a cold knot of unease tightening in her stomach. She couldn't shake the look on his face. It wasn't annoyance. It was pure fear. Back in the lobby, the silence felt different now. It felt heavier, more watchful. She tried to distract herself with paperwork, but her eyes kept flicking to the phone, expecting it to ring. And 20 minutes later, it did. The same shrill ring, the same jolt of adrenaline. She picked it up. Front desk. It was the same voice from room 412, but this time it was broken. He was audibly crying, taking in ragged, panicked breaths. "It's knocking again," he sobbed into the phone. But now it's coming from inside the room." Melissa felt her hands start to shake. The professional facade she was trying to maintain began to crumble. "Sir, what do you mean?" "What do you mean it's coming from inside the room?" His voice dropped to a terrified whisper. "There's a door." "In the bathroom?" He stammered. "I didn't see it before. I swear it wasn't there before. And someone is knocking on it." From the other side, a chill colder than anything she'd ever felt shot down Melissa's spine. She knew the layout of every single room in that hotel. She'd cleaned them, inspected them, been inside every one. There was no door in the bathroom of room 412. There were no closets, no connecting passages, nothing. Just a sink, a toilet, and a shower stall. Her own voice was trembling now. "Sir, that's not possible. There's no other door in that bathroom. I need you to leave the room immediately. Just grab your key and come straight down to the lobby. Right now." She waited for a response, for an okay, for anything, but there was only silence on the line. A heavy, dead silence, then a soft click. He had hung up. Or the call was disconnected. Something was terribly wrong. Melissa didn't even think. She grabbed the master key and ran. She didn't wait for the slow, creaking elevator. She took the stairs, 2 at a time, her heart pounding against her ribs. She burst onto the 4th-floor landing, gasping for breath, and sprinted down the flickering hallway to room 412. She pounded on the door. "Hello, sir? This is the front desk. Are you okay?" No answer. She shouted again, her voice echoing in the empty hall. Nothing. With a shaking hand, she inserted the master key into the lock. It turned with a heavy clunk. She pushed the door open slowly, calling out his name again. The room was empty, eerily empty. The bed was perfectly made, not a single wrinkle in the comforter. The man's luggage, which she had seen by the door when he first checked in, was gone. It was as if no one had ever been there. She crept further inside, her senses on high alert. She checked the main room, under the bed, behind the curtains. Nothing. Then she moved towards the bathroom. The door was slightly ajar. She pushed it open. The bathroom was empty, too. Everything was clean, sterile. But as she stepped inside, the cold air hit her, and she noticed something that made her blood run cold. The bathroom mirror, the large one above the sink, was completely fogged over, as if someone had just taken a long, hot shower. And there, written in the condensation, traced by a single finger, were 2 words: "Still knocking." Melissa didn't scream. She didn't make a sound. She backed out of the room, slowly at first, and then she turned and ran. She ran out of room 412, down the hall, down the stairs, and she didn't stop until she was back behind the front desk, huddled in her chair, shaking. She spent the rest of her shift watching the security monitor, staring at the empty 4th-floor hallway, her ears straining for any sound. She quit her job a week later. She couldn't handle the nights, the silence, the constant fear of the phone ringing. Before she left, she heard from one of the daytime managers that room 412 had been quietly removed from the hotel's booking system. It was to be used for storage, they said. But the story didn't end there. Other night clerks who came after Melissa, the ones who were brave enough to stay, still tell stories. They say that sometimes, long after midnight, when the hotel is quiet and the world is asleep, the front desk phone will ring. The display shows the call is coming from an empty room. Room 412. Thanks for watching. If you have a scary story you'd like to share, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more chills. Stay safe out there.